Continuing to follow the breaking news from Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Pacers star Tyrese Haliburton left the game with a right leg injury. His father telling ESPN it is an Achilles injury. He was in clear pain, helped off the court, not putting any weight on his right leg. He had been dealing with a calf issue throughout the series. He injured his calf in Game 5, a right calf strain, played in Game 6, played here in Game 7, scored 9 of the Pacers' first 16 points. And Tyrese Haliburton ruled out for the rest of the game again. His father telling ESPN it is an Achilles injury. And for more, welcome in CBS Sports HQ injury analyst Marty Jaramillo. Marty, good to be with you. Unfortunately, the situation here with Tyrese Haliburton, not ideal and not fortunate for the Pacers here in a Game 7. What did you see when he went down on the floor?
Well, Hakeem, great to be with you, man, but this is a heartbreaking end to a magical season for Tyrese Haliburton. What we saw on replay is what we call a textbook mechanism of injury. It was a step back to try to accelerate forward. And as soon as he stepped back on replay, we saw the calf pop, what's also known as a reverberation, and he went down in extreme pain. It is just such an unfortunate situation. His dad, of course, did confirm that, but of course they'll get further testing, MRIs and various diagnostics to confirm the extent of that tear. It's just such a heartbreaking situation because I did report on HQ just before Game 6 about this no-win situation that the Pacers had. They needed him to be available to give them a chance to win Game 6, but they also ran the risk of a further injury and possibly Achilles. And unfortunately, it seems to be the scenario that I outlined. I hate to see that. Now, let's talk about what is in store for Tyrese. He will have surgery, once again, if confirmed, over the next day or two, and he will more than likely be out through the entire season of next year. Why is that? Because we need, on average, between 6 and 8 months to return. But once you do return, you still have to ramp up your conditioning and your basketball conditioning. So it looks that it's quite likely he'll be out for the entirety of next season.
Marty, how much did the strained calf lead to the Achilles injury? Because we've had past history. We had it with Kevin Durant in 2019 with the calf injury, and then he tears his Achilles. So how much did this one lead to this type of injury?
Okay, that's such a great question because I've been asked that many, many times. Now, when a diagnosis of a calf injury, the athlete doesn't have a predisposition to an Achilles. It just doesn't work like that. A calf strain or calf tear, basically the athlete is predisposed to further injuring that calf. Now, with both Kevin Durant and possibly Tyrese, when Kevin Durant first injured himself, it looked like an Achilles on replay, but they mentioned only calf. When Tyrese injured himself, he actually grabbed his Achilles, but it was diagnosed as a calf. So there is a connection, but we believe with a calf strain, there's some micro tearing of the Achilles as well. And sometimes it is so small that it doesn't come up in any diagnostics. So that's what we think happened here, because I remember on replay, it just gave me a pause when I saw him grab his Achilles and not his calf. And then before Game 5, he had the calf tightness, and that's what they were working on. And it was just a no-win situation. They needed him, but he ran the risk, and unfortunately, all those planets aligned. But what a magical season indeed, as just a fan of sports, and it's just such a wonderful season he gave us.
And unfortunately, Marty, we've seen multiple injuries here with Achilles this postseason. Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard. When you look at those two injuries now compounded with Tyrese Haliburton, why is this happening so often?
Yeah. I've been obsessed with the data of load management since 2012, and I've been watching these numbers just continue to rise. So since 2012 and now in 2025, the average NBA team runs an extra 200 miles per season. Right? What does that mean? Well, the brunt of those extra 200 miles is the burden is on the starters. And that's what we're seeing. And that's some of the issues that potentially led to Mike Thibodeau's firing and the concept of overplaying your starters. It's real. Load management is the era that we are in, and all teams have to work to try to balance out those minutes across the entire rosters. But without question, if you compare, the days of Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and Patrick Ewing, all those days, that was a half-court offense, and now we are in space and pace. And space and pace has increased three-pointers, fast breaks, and now the total mileage. It's absolutely insane what these players are going through, and we're seeing some of the greats just go down.
Yeah, the NBA game is certainly played at a faster pace. And Marty, you know that the NBA implemented stipulations to play at least 65 games to win certain awards. So now perhaps doctors, perhaps team medical staffs are going to be calling on the NBA. Is this a situation, and I know this would be a big step, but are we talking about potentially lowering the amount of games per season or the amount of games per play that you need to win awards to make incentives? Because if you're talking about playing an 82-game schedule, we saw LeBron play all 82 games a few years ago in Cleveland, but this is not something that's regular for every star player. A lot of guys sit out. We talk about the load management. So does these injuries that tend to pile up here over and over and over again, does this force the hand of the NBA to make a decision?
I think they have no choice but to at least look at the data yet again. Now, 65 games possibly is feasible, but total minutes in each game possibly is where we really have to look at. Total minutes and recovery times when they are on the bench resting. That's, I think, almost a bigger issue. It's the spurt, the rest, the spurt, the rest. I think is going to be much more helpful to a player's health than just total minutes or total games. But all the data, games, mileage, speed, it is absolutely insane that the NBA is still saying there is not a load management issue. The data is just crystal clear, and the data comes from the NBA. So that extra 200 miles is reported by the NBA, and look what we're seeing. The starters going down because of all those minutes they played. So it's just finding the balance, and I think both the Players Association and the NBA, they will find that balance because it's for the health of the players, and that's the incentive for both owners, the league, and the Players Association. They will find it, but without question, that 65 number has to be looked at, and total minutes within each one of those games also has to be looked at. We got to take care of the players.
Marty Jaramillo here with the latest on CBS Sports HQ. Marty, thank you. Appreciate your perspective. And plenty of reaction pouring in on Twitter. Look at all the tweets here. De'Aaron Fox, Josh Hart, Trae Young, Vince Carter, LeBron James, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns. Everybody is watching this game. Not just the stars in the NBA, fans. We are all watching this game alongside, and you feel terrible right now for Tyrese Haliburton trying to lead the Pacers to their first NBA title, and Tyrese Haliburton goes down with a severe right leg injury.